So organized crime means business is war, whereas Christianity means hard work is teamwork. Sincerity solves everything. If you're sincere, and that means not in bad faith, that means we can have any conversation. But if you're not fit, then that means I don't have to listen to anything you say. It's quite a conundrum you got yourselves into, isn't it? Yeah, survival of the fittest. No one's coming to save you. You have to be the edge. Hey guys, this is John with the Alpha Channel update for Friday, May 24th, 2024 here in Los Angeles. And there's some things I want to talk about today as it pertains to doing the work of building a brand in comics and entertainment. Comics, TV, novels, video games. I'm doing all of it. I've got 2 novels out and they're here on YouTube as 13-hour audiobooks. I say this every day if you guys aren't tired of it. My very few regular listeners. So this is stuff that this was Blue Line a couple days ago, and I put it to pencils. This had been Blue Line, and my pencils are getting better. Here's a girl I inked. She had been really light pencils yesterday. It didn't turn out as well as I'd liked, but it's better than I was doing a couple weeks ago. These guys had been Blue Line and pencil, and I erased them and redrew them in place to just kind of refine their features a little bit, change them up. And my Kimber that I was working on a couple days ago, I haven't touched up the rendering yet, but I did take a look and see just how close it was to scale. It's pretty close. It's pretty close. It's just the angle. So I'm pretty proud of that. And so that's where I'm at with my art. I'm really trying to focus on singletons or single pages. Just one page, kind of like an elaborate meme or a joke. I've got some ideas for stuff I want to do for skaters, calling each other names while they're trying tricks. That's going to work out as really sort of a repetitive thing. I do want to show off some of this stuff too. The reason I'm so infatuated with Aeon Flux, aside from the fact that she's a beautiful girl wearing almost no clothes, what I really liked about this show, one of the things I really liked about it was the beginning. The opening title, they had this bit where Aeon was being threatened by this guy here on the back, Trevor Goodchild. Trevor was like the leader of an imperial sort of government, and he was demanding that Aeon surrender herself as a revolutionary to his government agents. Okay, so, and what it was that I liked so much about this show was at the beginning of every episode, there was this bit between Trevor and Aeon where Trevor would say, "You're skating the edge." And Aeon would respond with, "I am the edge. You can't buy it, you can't steal it, and you just don't get it." And that's what Alpha Channel is. Alpha Channel is the edge. You have to be the edge. I'm not afraid of anything. I'm not afraid of anyone, certainly not any individual. You'd have to send a few guys, especially if it's just hand-to-hand. So Peter Chung is now an instructor at CalArts, which is that school I talked about having wanted to go to, but being depressed when I discovered that it was a trap. And this is frustrating too. I mean, look at this guy. He had this great IP. They even got a movie and it didn't end up with a regular cartoon. They had this MTV cartoon that was really difficult to make. So they had a few comics, but he's now a professor at CalArts. He said something really incredible not too long ago in one of his videos that I watched. Someone had interviewed him, and Peter Chung said, "Most artists don't really have anything to say until they've mastered their craft." And that's due to the fact that they spend all their time showing off all their effects. And you can see this in Aeon Flux really, really well. Peter really challenged himself. He was constantly doing fisheye camera moves, which are really hard to animate. He'd have a character running toward the camera, and the camera would move around the character as the character ran past. That's like the hardest thing in the world to animate. And he challenged himself with every frame. Every shot was like that. So that's really difficult to do. And his point was, until he'd gotten all of that out of his system, a lot of his stuff was based on the German expressionist artist, I think it was expressionist artist, Egon Schiele. But until he'd gotten that out of his system, he didn't believe he had anything to say. Now that's different as a writer. As a writer, my whole thing is getting what I want to say out of my system. So I really did that with my novels and some short stories that I published and how they expand into a longer epic that isn't published yet, but I've accomplished it for myself. So what this means is I'm in a place where I want to help other writers. I'm really looking for writers. I'm not looking for artists. I have plenty of artists who don't have anything to say. I know lots of, and most of them are employed. They have a lot of things to do because there's a lot of writers out there with a lot of things to say. Here's the thing about being a writer that's important for a brand. One, as a writer, what you write is not always consistent. What you write is not always on brand. Stephen King is a horror writer, and when he wanted to do fantasy, or when he wanted to do thrillers, he changed his name to Richard Bachman. When he wanted to do fantasy and publish The Eyes of the Dragon, which I've to this day never got through, either reading or audiobook, that was off-brand. His readers weren't adjusted to that. So a writer isn't always on brand, but for the brand, it's important that the values and the message are consistent. With branding, consistency is everything. Whereas a writer can sort of spread their wings and write for different publications if they feel like it. They could write, romance for such and such books and write horror for another book publisher. For a brand, it's different. And I definitely want to lean into branding more. This is sort of corporate speak, but it's about character too. So being sort of a rebel and wanting to do business as war and art as war and the war of art and everything revolves around war. One of the things in the Marine Corps is lean into fire. And so I want to get right up to the edge in everything. That's just kind of that's the Alpha Channel mindset. And so I want to find authors who want to write into that mindset and stay on brand, stay on target. So, walk right up to the guillotine and see how sharp the edge is, because you might have to use it yourself. That's the game we're playing. So yeah, I'm going to do War of Art. Ashley Fox, Legacy of a Mad Scientist, Legend of Ashley Fox, here on YouTube. 26 hours of amazing science fiction and fantasy. Tell me I'm wrong. Go out there, listen to them, and see if you're not hooked. You might not be. Maybe it's not for everyone. I think it is, but that's because I wrote it for me. So, all the demons in my head, it's the perfect novel. So, yeah, do I really understand what Alpha Channel is? Can I articulate that to other people? Yes, we are a delightful, cheerful, toxically alpha masculine brand that is probably aiming to be the most offensive in comic books and games. So yeah, tactical awareness all the time. Two things. One, you're defined by your enemies. Your enemies are the ones who decide who you are and what your message is. They're the ones who get offended, and they're the ones who are going to attack you for what you say. So keep that in mind as you move through the world, but you are also defiled by what comes out of your mouth, not what goes into it. Although it's important to eat right, you can be defiled. That's not true. Jesus was wrong on that one. You can be defiled by both what goes into your mouth and what comes out of it, because if you're not fit, look, you guys, I'm the best shape of my life right now, and I was in the Marine Corps in my 20s, and I was in good shape then, but I am in the best shape of my life right now. And being fit means your engine, your whole body works better. I don't want to take advice I love Thomas Sheridan. I'm sorry to call you out, Thomas. I hope you never ever see this. I love you. You're this guy from Dublin, Ballymun. I've read your books. I own Sorcery and Strangest. I need to get Walpurgis Night. I love a lot of the things you say. But dude, you're so out of shape. I can't trust when you get fired up and passionate, that's when all of us tend to go off track, right? That's when we all tend to go off target. I do that. I have a tendency to get emotional about things. I heard Alex Hormozy today say, no one gets emotional about things they understand. It's the things you don't understand that get you fired up, because there's a gap in what you know and what you need to know. And I know I'm getting off target, but I have notes, so I'm going to stay on script. You get defiled by what you eat and what you say. The cake is a lie, the beer is a lie. It will fuck up your engine and it will fuck up how you think. Fitness, physical fitness is emotional and mental fitness. You can't be emotionally and mentally fit if you're not physically fit. So, by their fruits you will know them. And in today's world, that's really accurate. But it's more important by their energy, by their vibe. By their vibe, you'll know them. And that's you know what, that's really, I know it's a woo-woo thing to say, and it's not really an alpha channel thing to say, but I'm the guy who deliberately misspells the name of my own company. It's a yes and. It's not an either or. Stop thinking in binary terms, alpha channel guys. Stop thinking binarically, think in gradients. Instead of saying, is it this or that, say it, how much of this is it? Does this make me happy? How happy does it make me? Does this make me angry? How angry does it make me? What about it makes me angry? These are all, you gotta straighten out your own shit before you can talk about anybody else's. So I can't come on here and complain about the blacks aren't cleaning up their neighborhood. They never show up to school on time. They're rowdy. Whatever, dude. I was a fucking incorrigible kid too. I don't need, segregation is probably coming. Cultures are different. Everyone needs to be in and around their own culture. Muhammad Ali said, Cassius Clay said, the bluebird goes with the bluebird, the cardinal goes with the cardinal, the blue jay goes with the blue jay, whatever. So I'm not obligated to answer for them. I'm not obligated to answer for their team. I'm not even really obligated to answer for my team. I'm obligated to I'm obligated to pull for my team. That's what I have to do. That's my job as a member of the team, of the pack. Imagine that we're all yoked to the same sled, right? Or we're all in a ship. Maybe a ship is a great analogy, because imagine we're all pirates, right? And every pirate has his own internal captain. But for a little while, we can agree to let this guy plot us to our next haul, okay? But we're all rowing, we're all working the sails together. It's teamwork. Teamwork versus individuality. This is in my notes, so forgive me while I adjust a little bit. Branding is all about consistency and values. Propaganda is consistency for a desired outcome. So those are different, right? Propaganda means we'll say whatever it takes to get what we want. Brand says right is right, wrong is wrong. Religion is a brand. Ethnicity is propaganda. Ethnicity will use whatever it can to get ahead. A foundational structure, an institution cannot do that. An institution is required. A gang can do whatever it needs to get ahead. An ethnicity is a gang. An institution needs to be wedded to stone, to values, the word is God. So that's the difference. You can't do by any means necessary if you have value and virtue. By any means necessary is only last resort. You can only do that when all other things have failed and you're being genocided. So, and you can't walk around and say you're being genocided when you're not, which I guess is what I'm doing. I can't walk around and say white people are being genocided, though in some parts of the world maybe we are. There's certainly a group, depending on the definition of genocide, then there's some ethnic groups that are definitely trying to genocide white people. And white people are not united and are not trying to genocide anyone right now. We have done it in the past, and if you guys make us, like my brand could someday be on a uniform. Acknowledge that, right? So we're not a religion. We're an entertainment-focused thing. They say that the National Socialists in Germany weren't politicians who dabbled in the occult. They were occultists who dabbled in politics. Let that sink in, America. Yeah, propaganda means any means necessary. Branding is that the means are the message, and that virtue and values triumph over circumstance. A gang says circumstance is everything, and they will do anything to get ahead, and then so now, look, you know a tyrant by the tools they use once they're in control versus the tools they use to take control. If they used any means necessary, criminality and corruption to take control, and then they try and preach to you about value and virtue while they're tyrannizing you, you will see an incompatibility or an inconsistency in their actions. By their fruits you will know them, not by the words that they say. Although a lot of times their words will give them away too. You're not obligated to be loyal to a corrupt tyrant or a corrupt authority. They're not legitimate. And that's what we have right now. There's no legitimate authority in America whatsoever. Not religious, not institutional. It's all criminal. It is all criminal. So organized crime means business is war, whereas Christianity means hard work is teamwork. That's the difference. That's how you know the difference is teamwork versus money exchange. Teamwork doesn't ask for payment. I'm looking for volunteers, but in a more important way, I'm looking to volunteer for you. I'm looking to build this studio by giving you my time, by coming on here and talking with you, by opening my door for authors who have stories that they're struggling with. Please send it to me and listen to my stuff. See if you can't get some advice from this channel. By my fruit, by what I produce, by what I give to you for free, that's how you'll know who I am. So that's why when I realized that was when I realized that I could come on here and do this. Because I know that what I have to give to you is brand consistency, and I can do that because I have a uniform set of values. And if we share those values, we can maintain brand consistency. The last thing anyone else wants is look, art is magic, okay? That's my opinion. And the last thing you want is magicians going into politics. Because the last time that happened, it turned out really bad for the world. So I want Alpha Channel to remain that pink brand on the website, spelled wrong deliberately. It's a yes and. That's magic. Anytime you hear it, you know that's me. I don't want that to go, I like it pink over a black background. It would be really nice green, neon green over a black background. I don't want it to be red over a white background in a black circle. You don't want that world. So, yeah, you know what you're going to get from Alpha Channel. Sincerity solves everything. If you're sincere, and that means not in bad faith, that means we can have any conversation. But if you're not fit, then that means I don't have to listen to anything you say. It's quite a conundrum you got yourselves into, isn't it? Yeah, survival of the fittest. Don't drink, don't do drugs. Look, there was this thing happened last night. A really popular YouTuber got caught drinking and doing drugs while having firearms. I've already shown that I have firearms. I'll take a drug test anytime. Dude, you guys, I'm in such good shape. I drink water, I drink coffee. Coffee and sugar are my only vices. Don't drink, don't do drugs, be alpha. No one's coming to save you. No one's coming to save you. Basically, this is an important thing too. Have you ever been out to sea? So when I was in the Marine Corps and we sailed, I've been to Africa. Have you ever been to Africa? Do you know shit about Africa? Been to the Seychelles, been to Mount Kilimanjaro, been to Mombasa. Somalia was a mess. But the point is, if you've never been out to sea, especially in a small craft, like a small sailboat, being out to sea, even in a big fleet, being in the Marine Corps on a boat, it's like being in prison with a chance of drowning. But being out at sea in a small craft, like a sailboat, like my brother's got down in San Diego, I can swim, but if anything happens, you're losing everything on that boat. Being out at sea, we're all out at sea. We're all out at sea all the time. And as a skater, I'm sailing on a sea of cement. We're all out at sea. There's no one coming to rescue you. You have to be it. There's that video clip of all the time of some macho boomer saying, "You're not that guy. You're not that guy." God, I hope I meet that fuck somewhere. And by that fuck, I mean someone with that attitude. There's a couple times I've bumped into him. Like I said, there's nothing in life as good as shutting down a bully, especially publicly. I've never done it on camera yet, but man, wouldn't that be something? Life is so much fun. Everyday carry, right? This is like a mini nunchuck. I used to have this on my keys. or one of them on my keys. Right now my keys is just a long piece of rope. Be the edge. Be the edge.